Good afternoon and welcome to the first in our Governor of Victoria Export Awards application support webinars. Today is the first of 5 webinars, and over the course of this series you will get a much more thorough understanding of the application process and what is required of you to apply for a Governor of Victoria's Export Awards. My name is Collins Rex and I'll be your presenter for the next 5 sessions. Today's session is focusing on the first major aspect of the application process and the second, namely the executive summary and about the company and its products and services. So let us have a look at exactly what it is you can expect if you're entering a Governor of Victoria's Export Award and what it is that is required of you when it comes to entering the award and the sort of information that you need to be providing in order to be successful. So first of all, let's start with the awards process. It is a 2-tier process. You enter initially for the Governor of Victoria's Export Award. If you are a winner in one of the 13 national award categories, you then automatically become a finalist in the 56th Australian Export Awards. Now, these are the national export awards that sit under the ambit of Austrade. You can enter only one way, and this is the same across the country. Just as there is a Governor of Victoria's Export Awards, every other state and territory in Australia has a similar award program with the same 13 national categories and the same criteria for each one. So it is very much a level playing field. You can only enter for a national award by winning at the state or territorial level. The good news is, though, that there is only one application used for both awards programs, so you don't need to do a separate one or provide any different or additional information if you are a winner at your state level and you then move through into the nationals. These are the 13 national award categories, and we'll look in a moment at some Victorian specific categories. But these are the 13 national categories. You see them in front of you on the screen. If you win in any one of those categories, you automatically become a finalist for the national awards. You may enter in more than one category. However, you can win in only one category. You can be a commandee in more than one, but you can win in only one. So take that into account when you choose the number of categories in which you want to enter, because you might not do yourself any justice if you are entering in more categories than you actually have a chance in. Now, most of the categories are sectorial, so agribusiness, for example, or business services. However, there is a handful of categories that actually apply irrespective of the cross-cut that you're in. So if we look, for example, at e-commerce, you might be an agribusiness, but you could be an agribusiness who trades exclusively or in the majority online, in which case you would also qualify for an e-commerce award. Similarly, emerging exporter, doesn't matter what sector you're in, you can obviously be an emerging exporter if you have been exporting for fewer than 3 years. The same thing applies to regional exporter. You can be in any sector, but if you are based in regional Victoria, you apply as well for regional exporter, and so it goes for small business as well. You can be in any sector, but if you are a business turning over less than $5 million a year, then you also qualify for Small Business Award. Here are the Victorian specific categories. We have the Victorian Exporter of the Year, which is drawn from the winners of the 13 national categories, the Victorian Export Award for Innovation Excellence, and the Victorian Women in International Business Award. You cannot enter specifically for the Victorian Export for the Award for Innovation Excellence. That is an award which is submitted by the judges. So if your application is considered to be particularly innovative, your business is considered to be doing something particularly smart or engaging, then the judges do have the option of putting you forward for an Innovation Excellence Award. It is important, if you want to be considered for this award, that you emphasize the innovative aspects of your business from beginning to end. You need to make it very clear to the judges who are reading your application that you are an innovative business, that you have innovative products or services, that, for example, you are doing your marketing in a much more exciting way than your competitors, particularly if you are using methodology which is not the norm in your industry sector. So it doesn't have to be an innovative product or service. It could be the way in which you sell it, the way in which you distribute it. It could indeed be a specific business process that you apply. But you need to tell the judges about that so that they can put you forward. The Victorian Women in International Business Award is one that you enter specifically for. If you tick the appropriate box, you will get to put in the information about the woman who drives your export business. Now, it could be the owner of your business. If it's a small business, it might be your CEO. But it could also be a woman with a completely different title who is the driving force behind your export business. And you will have the option to explain why this particular woman should be recognized. Each of the awards is given to a company, but the Victorian Women in International Business Award is linked to a specific individual, or two. There might be two women in your business. That is acceptable too. So just bear that one in mind, and please do enter if there is a woman driving your export business. There are 5 main sections in the application: the executive summary about the business and its product or service, international business strategy, business management, which includes financial management and data, and international business planning and direction. For those of you that may have entered the Governor of Victoria's Export Awards in the past, you will notice that the questions have changed this year. So in the past, for example, financial data and management was a separate question. This has now been incorporated into business management. There was an international business strategy question which was phrased a bit differently. It was all about marketing. This year there are a number of different aspects that fall under international business strategy. So just bear that in mind. If you have entered before, you cannot just cut and paste your previous entry. You actually have to think about it a little bit differently this year. Now, it is important that you understand what it is that you do well, what it is that differentiates you from your competitors, and that you present that in your application in a language that the judges will understand. The judges, even though they are all highly experienced business people, they are affiliated with industry bodies, peak industry bodies, associations, and the like, they do not necessarily have specific knowledge of your industry sector, and they certainly don't have specific knowledge of your business, which means you should not be using jargon and language that is so specific to you that the judges don't understand what you're talking about. Simplify it, keep it in a way that everybody can access, and you will do yourself a lot of favors over the course of your application. So let's get straight into today's 2 main areas that we're talking about. First of all, the executive summary. Now, the executive summary allows you 200 words. It doesn't have a weighting. In other words, you earn no points for your executive summary. However, even though you may not earn points, this is the first part of your application that the judges will be seeing. This is the part of the application that gives them a really good sense of what your business is, what your product is, what your service is, what you're all about, and what it is that makes you special and worthy of an award. If you do this part right, the judges will spend a lot more time reading the rest of your application. If your executive summary is vague or really quite ordinary, if it is riddled with grammatical errors and spelling mistakes, trust me, you will have colored the judge's opinion of the rest of your application before they even read it. Now, what I suggest you do is not write the executive summary at the start, even though it's the first part of the application. Complete the rest of your application and then pick the eyes out of that information and put all the good stuff up front in your executive summary. Take the key elements from your application. It's fine to use dot points in your executive summary. Don't use only dot points though. You really need to be telling a bit of a story here. So have a paragraph and then illustrate that with dot points. That's fine. Give an introduction to your company. So who you are, what you do. Any historical highlights that are significant to your export business, include those here. So if you're a business that's been around for 150 years, of course you want to mention that. If you're a business that's only been around for 3 years, but in those 3 years, 100% of your business has become export focused, absolutely include that. Any marked achievements, so new markets that you've gone into, new products that you've developed, increase in sales, increase in market share, etc. Include your competitive advantage. So why has your marketing strategy worked? What market share or sales volume increase have you seen over the last 12 months? Any issues that you believe have played an important part in the success of your business? All of that stuff needs to be part of your executive summary. Keep it simple, keep it to the point. You've only got 200 words. And remember that your competitive advantage is the reason why your customers buy from you instead of your competitors. Include that in your summary. If you do this part well, it could very well make the difference between you winning or not winning an award. And just to emphasize again, write your executive summary last. The second part of the application is where you have the opportunity to expand on your company and its products and services. So you've given the judges a snapshot in your executive summary. Now you can get into some of the nitty-gritty about what your business is, what it is you sell, and what it is you do well. So question 2.2 asks you about your business history. So outline when your business started, the reason why it came about, the reason why it's developed, any key business milestones, expansion in operation, your product or service range has increased, new markets serviced, and any major achievements. You've only got 100 words for this question, so make sure that you include only the really good stuff. And also bear in mind that this question overall, question 2, counts for 25% of your overall score. Question 2.2 is about your product and your service offering. So you literally need to describe your products and your services, or if it is indeed only intellectual property that you export, perhaps you license certain intellectual property. Explain what it is and what makes it unique. Also very important to emphasize the value you provide to your clients. So not just about you and why you're fabulous, but what it is that your clients are feeding back to you about what makes their business better as a result of dealing with you. So if you are selling a product into a supermarket in China, for example, and purely on the back of that product, the supermarket has increased a certain customer demographic that comes into the store, that's the sort of thing that you want to mention. This question, 2.2, allows you 200 words. So bearing in mind, you are lodging all of this stuff online. It is an automatic system. You are allowed only the maximum number of words. If you write 201, the system is just going to wipe out the last one word. So pick your words carefully. Question 2.3 asks you to summarize your international business successes for the past year. So 2017, 2018, the last 12 months. This may include how you've achieved export growth, so your sales, your volumes, market serviced, new contracts entered into, new distribution agreements signed, etc. New products or services developed, including any IP that you may have developed. Any international recognition that you've achieved. So if you've won awards, if you've won supplier recognition, etc., include that in this question. If you have developed new product lines specifically for overseas markets, explain what they are and why you did what you did. New business practices, any information that will explain why you have increased your international marketing business. So if your business has grown as it should have grown, if you're entering for an export award, this is where you talk about all the successes that you've achieved, provide quantitative results and specific examples wherever possible. For this question, you are allowed 200 words. Now, 2.4 is where you write some additional information pertaining specifically to the category in which you have entered. You are allowed 400 words here, so that should give you an indication compared to the 200s and the 100s that you've had to this point. This is a really important part of the application. It is different for each individual category, so make sure that you read the question carefully and you answer the question that pertains to the category that you have entered. If you have entered for more than one category, you need to complete the information for each of the categories in which you have entered. So let's go through these quickly. For the agribusiness category, you need to outline what your business has done that can be considered innovative or market leading in the agribusiness sector. So this could be, for example, how you have responded to drought. You might have come up with an innovative watering solution that has enabled you to combat drought. How you have dealt with supply chain management, how you've dealt with research and development, so developing new strains of plants, for example. How you deal with cold chain management, because what you are providing is obviously a perishable product, etc. So how have you been innovative and market leading in the agribusiness sector? For the business services category, you need to outline how your business has differentiated its products and services from those of your competitors. So this is all about competitive advantage. What is your competitive advantage and how have you explained that to your customers, making it imperative for them to use you rather than a competitor? In the creative industries category, you need to talk about what your business brings to an international audience. Now, this could be cultural exchange, technologies, designs not commonly seen in that market. So if, for example, you're a dance company and your dance company focuses on traditional Australian dance, Indigenous dance, and you've taken that to a market overseas, United States, for example, clearly you are taking Australian culture into that market. You are helping to educate that market in Australian Indigenous culture. That's the sort of thing that you need to be emphasizing. And whether your creative industry is focused on performance art, whether it's digital art, really doesn't matter. You need to explain what you are bringing to an international audience. Digital technologies category applicants have to talk about the strategies that they've implemented to ensure that their business has a sustained future growth in the digital technology industry. Now, digital technologies, it's one of those sectors that is developing absolutely at breakneck speed. So you need to show that you are constantly ahead of the curve. What is your R&D investment? How are you diversifying your product, etc., to keep ahead of the curve in digital technologies? E-commerce category applicants, and bearing in mind you could be entering in e-commerce and you might be entering in a sector-specific category like agribusiness as well. E-commerce applicants need to identify the innovative online practices and strategies that they've implemented to maximize their reach to an overseas customer base. Also talk about the systems you have in place to support your online business. So which platforms do you use? Any digital tools that you employ? Logistics to get your product to your customer if you are selling a product online. How do you engage with your customer? How do you localize what you do? How do you customize what you do? And very importantly, how do you engage mobile technology-wise? And of course, customer service is all important. So if you're selling stuff online, how do you do it? How do you keep doing it better than anybody else? How do you get it into the hands of your customer? And how do you make it easy for your customer to use your online technology? Education and training applicants need to outline what their business is doing to attract customers, and of course those would be international students, in relation to your competitors. So it could be the implementation of innovative education technology tools, new courses geared towards a specific international market, etc., as well as providing value-add services for customers and students. So you might be delivering your education offering online, but in addition to that online offering, you have a chat group, for example, where your students can bounce ideas off one another. Or perhaps you have a once a month face-to-face gathering in each one of the markets where you service students so that they can actually get together and see one another face-to-face and interact. So anything that you do that is seen to be a value add. Environmental solutions applicants need to specifically emphasize the maximization of their environmental benefit, the reduction of the environmental impact, and how they contribute to long-term sustainability. So if your product is an environmental solution, obviously it stands to reason that you need to explain not just that you're selling stuff, but how the stuff that you are selling is making a difference to the environment, how positive the impact is that you are having on the environment. For health and biotechnology applicants, again, it's about the contribution that you make. So it's the contribution to the health and biotech sector. So, for example, the health benefits that your products or services are offering, what differentiates you from your competitors, any investment you make in R&D to continually improve what you do, the identification of new products or services as a result of your international customer base. So what are you doing today, and how is your international customer base driving you to be better at what you do? That is essentially the core of this particular question. Manufacturing category applicants have a few components that they have to provide. You need to talk about what you do, of course, but also how you've improved your supply chain and your manufacturing practice. So it's not just about you, but it's about the effect you have had on the other businesses around you to show that you have improved the general supply chain, and also what you are doing to optimize efficiencies, quality, production capacity, and customer satisfaction. Manufacturing category applicants also need to state the percentage of the manufacturing output that comes from your Australian manufacturing activities, and you need to list the Australian states and the other countries where you have manufacturing facilities in operation. So the purpose of this is to prove, A, that you are a manufacturing business that is operational mostly in Australia, so the bulk of your manufacturing needs to reside here, but you also need, because you are entering for a Victorian award, to show that the base of your operation is Victorian. So it's not just Australian, but it's Victorian. If it appears to the judges that actually most of your manufacturing is happening in Queensland, they will direct you to apply in Queensland because you will be entering in the wrong state. Minerals, energy and related service category applicants need to explain any challenges that you have encountered in the past year in your industry sector and the strategies you employed to achieve success. So you may, for example, have had an established market in China, and that particular market has proved problematic over the past 12 months through legislation changes, etc. So you've diversified into other markets. So anything that you have done to overcome challenges specific to your industry sector and how you have grown irrespective of those challenges. So those are the two questions that we're dealing with today. As I said, we've got 4 more of these to go, so we'll be progressively working our way through all the sections of the application. I just want to pause now on some of the key dates. Applications for the Governor of Victoria's Export Awards close on the 28th of June this year. Now, it's earlier this year than it generally is in Victoria. You need to take that into account. If you've entered in the past and you have become accustomed to having until the end of July, you don't this year. So you need to get your application finalised and you need to get it lodged as soon as possible. When we talk about close of business, we mean 5 p.m. So you need to have lodged your application, which means it needs to be completed and the lodge button hit before 5 p.m. on the 28th of June. Please don't leave it to the last minute. It is an online system. Online systems are notorious for falling over when you least want them to. So if you leave it to the last minute, you might run into technical issues that will prevent you lodging in time. 28th of June, that is the lodgement date. There may be an extension to that. Do not depend on an extension. Assume the 28th of June is the drop dead date. The Victorian Awards ceremony happens on Friday the 14th of September and it happens in Government House. It's a fabulous night. If you enter for the awards, you will be invited to attend the awards ceremony and you will be able to attend it with some members of your staff. So make a note of that date. It's an early evening function, usually over by about 8:30. The National Awards Ceremony is on the 4th of December, so if you are a winner in one of those 13 national categories and you become a finalist in the National Awards Ceremony, you will be invited to attend. This particular event moves around from state to state. We don't know yet where it is this year, but it is on the 4th of December, so diarise that date. You see on the screen now your contacts at the Department of Economic Development, Jobs, Transport and Resources in the state government. This is the department that runs the awards. Your main contact is Carol Tobolov, and you've got Carol's contact details there. Please make a note of them. And you've got Fiona Cheng. If Carol cannot assist you with any of the technical issues that you have around your application, she's not in the office or whatever, then Fiona will be able to similarly assist you. And their contact details are there. Also important to note Carol's contact details because she is coordinating a schedule of one-on-one coaching that you can apply for with me to help you one-on-one with your application. Now, I'm not going to write your application for you. That completely defeats the object of you doing this, but I will assist you to pick out some of the key areas, some of the things you do well, etc. So if you want some one-on-one time, Carol is your contact to arrange that one-on-one time. Where do you apply? That's the address in front of you there, exportaward.com.au/Vic. Once you've registered, because there's a registration process and then you commence your application, once you've registered, you're then on Carol's radar and Carol will be in touch with you to find out why you haven't started your application or why you haven't completed it, if you need any assistance, etc. So that's where you go to get yourself registered. If you need help with your application, those are my contact details. I can be really difficult to catch on the phone, so feel free to drop me an email. If you want something that is just a very quick question answered, I'm more than happy to do that by email. If, however, you need more intensive assistance, you need to speak to Carol about getting some one-on-one coaching time. So I'm going to end today's session by putting Carol's details back up for you. Make a note of those. If you need any one-on-one assistance, please do not hesitate to speak to Carol or to contact me via email. We look forward to seeing your application and we look forward to having you at future webinars so that you can work your way through the entire application with us. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to speaking to you again over the course of this week. Good afternoon.